There's no question that there are many African countries that are not practicing what I would consider acceptable democracy. And part of it is, part of my definition of democracy is smooth transfer of power after free and fair elections, so that we move away from monarchies, we move away from presidents for life, so some of which we have tried. Now, I think also when you look at the continent broadly, to my mind, there are factors and trends that explain what goes on in each country, but there are levels. There are trends and factors peculiar to a given country. There are trends across the continent. But given my work, there are also the international role where you've got world powers that meddle in the affairs. Well, a couple of my brothers have mentioned some of these issues. So when it comes to the Congo, though, from 1960 until right now, why haven't they had smooth transfer from one elected administration to another? I think there are many, many reasons. The Congo is a very good example, from my view, of outside powers meddling. Particularly, we know that with the support of this country, the United States, they supported a ruler in the Congo for more than 30 years. I'm talking about Mr. Mobutu. Yes, because as you mentioned, they say, well, this guy may be bad, but he's good for us. He's good for what we are doing right now. That was the middle of the Cold War.
But what about the Africans themselves? Because foreigners cannot do that alone. There has to be a dynamic. They have to be able to interact with some elements within a particular country.
Oh, yes, they do. They do, in fact, which is why they prop up dictators. You know, when you live in a country, I mean, during the Cold War, the Americans had a term, captive nations. You know, we are talking about governments here. We are talking about presidents. A given government has a lot of power. It is given to a particular person. When that person uses the power badly, and if he's getting outside support, it is very difficult for ordinary individuals to stand up to them and not to lose their lives. So yes, the outside powers partner with strong men, which is the point that Obama made in Accra, that we don't need strong men. The part that he left out was that the strong men partner with outsiders. Now, in the case of the Congo, I also think that the spillover from the Rwandan genocide. So what I'm saying is, you look at the Cold War and the rule of Mobutu and others, and it was when he was gotten rid of through wars. I think you have to look at that. But you also have to look at what happened across the border with the invasion of, after Mr. Mobutu was gone, the second invasion by Rwanda and by Uganda, to the extent that even the Ugandans and the Rwandans fought on Congolese territory over the resources of the Congolese. I think my brothers have been very nuanced and diplomatic in the way that they have mentioned it. But that has been a factor. And I will add to you one more thing. It seems to me that right now the United States is putting pressure on Mr. Kabila to do the right thing and hold elections and leave. They are putting a lot of pressure. I think Africa needs democracy to move forward. We really do. I believe that strongly. We won't move forward until we have democracy. So I think that is a good thing. But U.S.